So we're going to learn how to convert an NFA to a regular expression. So before we start, we need to learn the following formula in order to eliminate a state. So we're going to see an example for the following automata where we have states I, K, and J, and our goal is to eliminate K. So the formula says that the new transition ij is equal to the old transition from I directly to j, or the transition of ik followed by the transition from k to itself star followed by the transition from k to j. So let's see an example of how to use the formula. We have the following automata, and we'd like to eliminate the state k. So the transition ij is equal to the old transition from I to j, which we can see is c, or the transition from I to k, which is a, followed by the old transition from k to itself, which is d. So it's going to be d star, followed by the old transition from k to j, which is b. So now we can see the new automata with the eliminated k, where the transition from I to j is c, or a followed by d star followed by b. So now we're given the following automata, and our goal is to convert this automata to a regular expression. So first we're going to add two states, S and F, where state S we're going to add to the start state, which here is Q0, and we're going to add F to all the final states, which in our example we only have one final state, which is Q1, in order to eliminate all our Q states. So we'll connect the S state with a lambda transition to the state Q0, and we'll connect Q1, our final state, with a lambda transition to the state F. So in this example, we're going to eliminate the Q states in increasing order. So first we're going to eliminate Q0. Now we can create a table where we write all the states with transitions going into Q0 on the first row of the table, and all the states with transitions coming out of Q0 on the first column of the table. And by using the equation we learned before, we could find all the new transitions in order to create the new automata without the eliminated state, Q0. So let's start. The first transition we're going to need to find is a direct transition from S to Q1. So first, according to the formula, we're going to find the transition, the old transition, from S to Q1. So as we can see, there's no direct transition from S to Q1, so we'll continue. Now we're looking for the transition from S to Q0, which as we can see is lambda, which is going to be followed by a transition from Q0 to itself star. And as we can see, there's no transition like that, so we'll continue. That is going to be followed by the old transition from Q0 to Q1, which as we can see is A. So the expression we got is lambda followed by an A. In this expression, there's no meaning to the lambda, so the new transition from S to Q1 is A. So now let's find the next transition from state S to Q2. So first we see if there is a direct transition from S to Q2, and we see there is no transition like that. So we continue to the old transition from S to Q0, which is lambda, followed by the old transition from Q0 to itself, and we see there's no self transition for Q0, so we continue. That will be followed by the old transition from Q0 to Q2, which is A. So now the new transition from S to Q2 is lambda followed by A, and lambda has no meaning here, so the new transition is A. Let's continue to the next transition, Q1 to Q1. So the first old transition we get from Q1 to Q1, we can see there is a self transition. So now we're going to have an A, or we're going to have the old Q1 to Q0, which is B, followed by the old transition Q0 to itself. And we can see there's no transition like that, so we continue. And the old transition from Q0 to Q1 is A. So we'll have A or B followed by A. Next transition is Q1 to Q2. So let's look at the formula. The old transition from Q1 directly to Q2, there is no transition like that, so we'll continue. The old transition from Q1 to Q0 is B. There is no self transition from Q0 to itself. And the old transition from Q0 to Q2 is A. So we'll get the new transition from Q1 to Q2 is B followed by A. So now we'll find the new transition from Q2 to Q1. So first we see if there is an old transition from Q2 directly to Q1, and there is no transition like that. So we continue according to the formula. We see if there is an old transition from Q2 to Q0, which we see is B. We continue to the old transition from Q0 to Q0, which once again there's no self transition for the state Q. And then the old transition from Q0 to Q1 is A. So the new transition from Q2 to Q1 is B followed by A. And now finally we'll do the last transition we need, which is Q2 to Q2. So first there is a self transition in Q2, so the old transition from Q2 to Q2 is B. The old transition from Q2 to Q0 is B. Q0, once again, there's no self transition, so we continue to the old transition from Q0 to Q2, which is A. And then, because of that, we'll, like we said, the old transition from Q2 to itself is B, or B followed by A, which we got that BA from the old transition from Q2 to Q0 and the old transition from Q0 to Q2. So now that we have found all the new transitions from this table, we can build the new automata with the eliminated Q0. We now built a new updated automata without the state which we eliminated, which is state Q0, according to the values in our table. So we can see, for example, that we have a transition from S to Q1, which according to the table is A. We'll do the same process as we did for the elimination of state Q0, but this time for Q1. We'll build a table where the first row will have the states which have transitions going into Q1, and in the first column of the table we'll have all the states which have a transition coming out of Q1. And we'll do the exact same process for each combination of states according to the formula, and we'll find the new direct transitions between the states. So after doing that, we now have the new automata without Q1. So finally, we'll eliminate Q2, and we'll do this in the same way we eliminated Q1 and Q0 by building a table and finding the relevant transitions. And after finding those relevant transitions, we'll build an updated automata without the state Q2. So now that we removed Q2, we can see the final transition from S going to F. And that final transition is our final regular expression. So thank you everyone for watching, and please comment, rate, and most important, please subscribe. Thank you.